Hello, welcome back to Diary of a Creator. If this is your first time here, welcome. I am Victoria, the soul-led career coach, and this is a space for other ambitious, freedom-seeking souls like me who refuse to settle for the ordinary. So if you're feeling stuck in life or your career, feeling like it no longer fits, you're starting to question your path, and you're craving something more, then you're in the right place. So if this content resonates, I'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe as it just helps me to reach more souls and to grow this message. So this week I wanted to dive into a topic of, in essence, really what is the difference between people who are able to take leaps and not. So when we're referring into this, people who are able to take the leap into a new career venture or a totally different path and follow their vision and their dream and make it happen versus those that either don't take the leap or they might begin and then they turn back around. So they don't actually follow their vision through. Because there is a key difference between these two types of people in essence, and it's really got nothing to do with the vision itself. Like there's some businesses or business ideas that come out and they're probably genuinely not great visions, but that's not what's happening in most of the cases. So most people are going to say that this is mindset. And it is mindset. However, it's more specific than that because if you think of mindset, it's like everything to do with positive thinking and a lot of the believing in yourself, but it's actually a lot more to do with knowing how to work with tension, which is inherent in any form of change or creation for that matter. Like if you think about everything that's created on this planet, nature, all of the universal laws, they all work on the premise of tension. Just even think of the birth cycle and the way that the elements work together. There's always a tension point, like rain only comes after a tension, wind only comes after a tension, fire only comes after a tension, and all of these different things. And we are, as humans, which are part of nature, also working with this tension within. And adding on to that, there's also obviously having a great deal of trust and faith in your vision, which is where a lot of people will go wrong, but they go wrong because of the tension. This is why I help people making soul-led career moves because they are the deepest form of vision that you can hold. It is the core of who you are. It is the core of what you've come here to do. If it doesn't work, it's not because of the vision, it's because the tensions got in the way. And this is really where people falter is they don't know how to work through this process. And it's hard because when the tension comes up, it's going to naturally almost trick you into thinking that you either the vision was wrong, you can't do it, there's some other environmental factor or something going on, and it will come up with all of the different excuses as to why you shouldn't follow through with the vision, which is what steers people off course without them even really knowing it. Which is why working with tension is the difference between those that take the leap and follow through with their vision and those that do not take the leap and do not follow through with their vision. One accepts the tension and understands how to work with it. Be tension being discomfort, guys. And the others don't want discomfort and they go into the tension, it's too much, and they go back. That's the difference. And this isn't about being good or bad at change, it's about being able to understand what change actually feels like and not mistaking it for something else because I'm actually very good at change. I like change a lot. Some would say it's like it's a cycle within me. I'm always looking for change and new things. But this also cropped up for me too, particularly when you're doing a soul-led career. It's going to really come up quite a bit here because you are really breaking through a lot of the limitations and the boundaries that you might not have actually been aware of. Naturally, there's going to be tension. So as I said, like I am a changer. I'm very free-spirited. I have made a lot of leaps in my life and most of them not fueled through logic. They're just through feelings, quitting jobs, just leaving, going. So very adept at moving into change. Now, coming up to my most recent leap, which was my leap out of corporate, and I had been in corporate for 13 years at this point. This was a leap into my soul-led business. And this is really the change that has hit me the most when it comes to tension. So before then, I had obviously got very, very used to having a safety net of a corporate job. There is a safety that comes with a corporate job. And when I fully leaped, because I jump and then I think later, which works in my favor because I don't think myself out of the changes, but it doesn't change the tension and the fact that I could have turned back around. And I hit a moment about a year ago, which is quite close to when I jumped out, where I hit what I deemed to be a failure in the business. I had tried to do this program launch, it didn't work, and I had had momentum in the business before I leaped out of corporate. And so I was following that. I'm like, okay, it's building. But as I leaped out of corporate, I also changed countries. So I left Sydney as well at the same time, which was largely where the momentum was coming from. And then I leapt into Bali, like full blown hiatus. I was not prepared for it. I hit what I deemed to be a failure, and my tension or my mindset just crumbled on me, basically. It was all of my fear based patterns that just reared their head. It got to the point where I had convinced myself that I had got my vision wrong, that I wasn't cut out for this, that this was too hard, that the safety of corporate is probably better suited to me. I started to trick myself into almost going back to corporate. I was actually looking for ways that I could do that. I was so very near to turning back, which is what I say. I can leap into the tension, but the tension and holding it through this period is where I wanted to leap back and be one of the people that turn back around from their vision. Because the tension was huge. It was basically to the point where the tension was telling me this is wrong. Like, this is the wrong path. Why does it feel this hard? That, like, really stacking all of it on top in an overwhelming way where I was like, I'm out, I'm out, I'm out, I'm out. But there was a voice within that just kept telling me not to do that. So I sat on it for a little while, which, if you are in a similar situation, sit on it because you need a break. When you are trying to figure things out from your fear lens and your stories, it's just never going to happen. It is going to talk you back in to your safety, making you think that it's what you want, but it's not what you want, particularly when it's a soul-led path. I promise you it's not what you want. It's just shit's got really hard and you're like, oh, what do I do? Because it's the uncertainty. You're literally moving into uncertainty. You don't know if anything's going to work. You don't know financially where it's going to come from. You've got so much to build because your vision will be big and you're like, what? Where do I go? Where do I start with this vision? So I could have bought into my stories at this point. Two things stopped me from falling back on it. And this is where the difference is, and why I was saying the soul-led path is I knew my vision was so true for me. I knew it. The highest version of me knew it. It was just the lower fear-based version of me that was just freaking out about that path. But I had an inner knowing that that is the path. And I had tools at this time to access that knowing. That's key. The second point is I was also at the same time learning through the alchemy study I've been doing and embodying for like a year and a half now. I had learnt how to work with tension, aka full awareness of what my ego would try and do the moment things got hard. I had fear and I was going into a path that wasn't comfortable. I knew the voices and the language and the lingo and the feelings and the storylines that my fear would bring up to try and get me off that path. When I say that's the difference between people who go and make it happen and people who do not, it is not that they are more adept or open to change. It is their ability to work with tension and to sit in tension because it will come. It will come in any change you are trying to make. It doesn't matter if it's like a dietary change, through to like a massive life change of upheaving your career path or anything, there will be tension. If you can learn how to work with the tension, aka understand your fear and how it's going to come up and what it's going to say to you, and get to the point where you are so aware that this is a narrative and this is a story, that you are able to divert yourself back to your vision and keep going. It's not easy. It is a work in progress, which is why, as I said to my example, I did let the narrative run out for a while, because sometimes when we're still learning how to work with attention, that is what will happen. We'll go into it, but we're going to come out. And this is it. It's your timeline will shorten. So say if you continue to work with tension, you continue to unravel your awareness of your fear-based patterns. You might have sat in your fear-based pattern and been totally derailed from something for like a week. And then as you move on, it becomes 3 days. As you move on, it becomes a day. Like I've got mine a little bit down pat to a day. Sometimes it might pull over, and there's also just, there's another thing to say with that fear as well, is it's not about getting rid of it, because one, you cannot get rid of it. It is your, call it your wounded inner child or your monkey mind, all of that. You need to treat it in such a way, with kindness, with compassion, asking it what it needs, what it wants for you in the moment, and doing that. That will resolve that tension quicker than anything you can ever try. Is going, okay, I'm in fear right now. This is feeling very uncomfortable. I'm worried it's not going to work out. I don't know where money's coming from. Speak it. Whatever it is, speak it. Sit. What do you need from me right now? It might be go for a walk. It might be have a cry. It might be get angry. Whatever it is, do it. And then get back to your vision. And again, the other thing as well is, as I said, some visions won't work because the vision wasn't quite right. When a vision is true for you, it's always right. There is no wrong vision that's true for you. A heart-led vision is never wrong. It wouldn't have come to you if it was. It's your vision. The only difference between people that create it and don't is this, is that they haven't got a grip hold of their own fear patterns in a way that they can keep moving forward. So why most people stay stuck is they're attached and they buy into their fear narrative. They take it as fact. Literally, that's what happens. They see it as truth. When that story comes up, they let the story win, in essence. So instead of their focus being on what they want to create, their focus has gone to their fear-led narrative, which is telling them that they shouldn't. And the sad thing with this is a lot of people will turn back around, not ever knowing if it was their vision or their mindset, because the fear gets so loud where it consumes. And if you think of I always go to the Truman Show for fear, because that was his TV set reality. So what we do to ourselves is that's almost our cave of what we deem to be possible. But when we're focusing in on that, we block what's actually there. Now, how do we get around that? You have to become so intimately aware of your fear pattern and have a strong ass vision for where you are going. There are two dynamics to this, because when you think of tension, it has to have the polarity, right? One's got your vision, the other one's got your fear. Your fear is going to be like, oh, I don't want to go for that vision. And the vision's trying to propel you forward. When you're trying to propel forward, your fear is going to come up. That's just natural. When you're buying into your fear, your vision's going to be like quietly being like, come on, there's more there. You're worth more. Keep going, blah, blah, blah. It's the tension. They hold each other there. So this is what I was saying, when we learn to work with these two poles, particularly understanding our fear, like that's really where we need to dive in, is what is our fear pattern? Where does it come from? All of the deeper healing or understanding, and really just self-awareness of, okay, this voice is coming up. I know that this voice comes up because this part triggers me. The more aware you can be of that, the more you catch yourself, and the more over time you can divert yourself to stop listening to that fear. It's still going to come. It's still going to be there. Sometimes it's still going to be overwhelming. Sometimes it's still going to take you out for a couple days, a week, however long. It doesn't really matter so long as you come back. That's it. So long as you come back. And so this is it. It's knowing the fear pattern, but also being prepared that no matter what journey of change you take, you've got to be prepared for the roller coaster. You've got to be prepared to ride it. Otherwise, you will not win, period. Like you will deem it as failures, but they are not failures. They are just part of the roller coaster. It is going to go like this. You are going to have highs and lows. And the more you intensify the low and you buy into the story, you're gonna like come off the roller coaster. If you learn to move with the roller coaster and know, all right, I'm going in my fear, you'll be able to come back up. Why? Because your vision's gonna get you there. And it's all about your focus and where you're spending your energy as well. So it's really making a choice. Once you're aware and you know the tension will come, that you will be on a roller coaster, because the reality is every single human is on a roller coaster, whether they're speaking about it or they're not. The only way you can avoid the roller coaster is through distraction and numbing. Now look at our world. It's full of numbing agents, right? Like Netflix, phones, social, all of the addictions, food, alcohol, drugs, porn, all of these things are numbing agents. They numb the actual literal journey that we're meant to be on, which is a little bit like this, until it starts to even out and we become really enlightened, like Buddha. But I'm really far off that, and most people are too. It's almost like trying to go out in a wave and not know how to surf. You're going to get smashed in the face and fall off your board. If you learn how to surf, you've still got the same tension, you've still got the same waves, but you're riding them. That's what it is. It's learning how to ride the waves of life, basically. And knowing that fear and your mind telling you that you can't do it and any of that is not a sign that it is the wrong vision or you should get off it. It is actually a sign that you're growing into something way bigger than your ego can even tolerate. So really have that in mind. And if you are ready to dive further into that fear pattern, then I'm going to pop the link to a free shadow profile, which I have created. It is a quiz initially to understand of the 6 most core hidden limiting beliefs that will crop up. And these are the ones that are going to be pulling us back into the safety, telling us we can't do it, we're not good enough, we're not worthy, scarcity, all of these different things. And the quiz is created based on the most common behaviors associated with these underlying beliefs. There is a breakdown of what that belief actually means. And then there's a 5 or 10 day email sequence, which is going to lead you into, okay, that's your fear pattern. What does that mean? And some reflection to get you to start thinking about where it crops up so you can really get that deeper awareness, as well as turning it into the vision. So where do you want to go? So when we come out of the fear-based programming narrative, what do you actually want? Like, what are you creating? Because you have to have that really strong too. Otherwise, when you're in the fear, it's very hard to come out of it. If you don't have this almost stored emotional memory of where you want to go, then the fear has a greater chance of derailing you than you will think, which is why the whole premise of, oh, I'll just find my path as I go, you have to be really tuned in for that, like really tuned in, and also very adept at uncertainty, which is probably not people listening to this because it is a video on those who take a leap and don't. I'm not in the complete flow state. I am still working with my corporate mind, which is like, yeah, but I need to know everything. Like, you've got to show me A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll share the link to that quiz, which is going to give you a lot of detail into the fear-based pattern. But that's really it. Honestly, that is the difference, is the people who leap and make their vision happen, they know how to work with tension. Those that don't, they don't. It's a learnable skill, it's a teachable skill, and it's one that you can master.